What's up, friends? Welcome to Web3 Academy, a place for entrepreneurs, creators, and marketers to explore and learn how to use Web3 to transform business models and create thriving communities. Enjoy this next episode. GM. Welcome to Web3 Academy. It is a deep dive. We're going to be deep diving into SEO today. And you might be thinking, SEO? What? That's not Web3. That's Web2 stuff. Well, a big question on everyone's mind is, will SEO survive Web3? What's SEO going to look like in Web3? Fascinating topic to which nobody knows the answer. But thankfully, we have a guest writer with us today. Josien Nation has written an article for Web3 Academy all about SEO and if it will survive Web3. And I'm going to read that article to you on today's deep dive. I might add in a little bit of my own thoughts and flavor and opinion as well. I'm Jay Bird, by the way, in case you didn't recognize my voice, coming at you this week from Portugal, actually, over here on a little team retreat with our digital marketing team and the Web3 Academy team. First time we're meeting in person. Can you believe we work solely in the metaverse? We have never met in person, even though we've been in business for, Web3 Academy has only been around for 6 months, but our digital marketing agency has been around for about 3 years. And one of the things that we do is we do some SEO work for some of our clients. And so, yeah, big question here. What's going to happen of the future of SEO? But before I dive into today's article, I just want to mention a few things. First up, if you do not subscribe to our newsletter, many of our podcast listeners don't know that we have a newsletter. Check it out. It's in the show notes. Every Monday, a Wednesday, and Friday, we'll hit you up with a newsletter in your inbox all about Web3 and really keeping you up to date on everything you needed to know about Web3. Everything from the news of the week, which comes through the weekly roll-up, to deep diving into particular topics that we think are very important for those building businesses in Web3 to understand, and also the Doer Spotlight, where we take interviews that we do and break them down into newsletter form. So if you prefer to read versus listen to the podcast, that's the newsletter is a great spot for you. Or if you just want to make sure that you're really in the loop on everything Web3, I know if you're like me, it is so hard to stay up to date on all of this, on the action and all the stuff going on in Web3. And we want to be the central source for you if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a creator, or you're in a business, you're an operator in a business, you're a founder of a business, whether it be a big business or a small business, could be enterprise, could be a Fortune 1000 company, or it could be a small startup or small SME. We want to make sure we're helping you figure out how to use Web3 in your business. What do you need to be thinking about? What matters? How do you make sure you stay on top of it all? We're not talking about the latest NFT project that you should be buying. We're talking about the NFT project that is being launched by a company and how they are using that to build a thriving community. How are they using that to improve their existing business? How do you use Web3 in your business models? So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. But today, let's talk about what is SEO going to look like in Web3. So, title of today's article that I'll be reading is 9 experts' opinions on whether or not SEO will die in Web3. For a lot of people, Web3 is still full of mystery. Even if they're already familiar with crypto and NFTs, the concept of Web3 may not make sense to them. I mean, this couldn't be more true. There is only about 100 million people. I mean, estimates kind of range from 80 million to 300 million people in Web3, like active, have a wallet. I shouldn't even say active. Only about that many people have a wallet. Doesn't even mean they're active. A lot of those wallets are duplicate wallets. They're not even necessarily. So let's assume, I think we can safely assume that there's somewhere around 100 million people globally in Web3. That is such a small portion of our population. So to most, Web3 still doesn't make sense. One issue that has gotten My interest, my being Josien Nation, who has written this article, is the fate of SEO and how Web3 will affect it. Josien is a SEO expert that focuses specifically on crypto, blockchain, and Web3 companies. Is it possible that Web3 will die? SEO will die thanks to Web3? Or will SEO be able to change with the times? After all, the Google algorithm depends on being able to gather massive amounts of user data, whereas Web3 gives control of data to the users. That won't necessarily be possible for Google to do in the future. Will they be able to collect all the data given that we will have ownership of our data with Web3? On the surface, Web3 doesn't seem to be compatible with SEO. This has a lot of people worrying that SEO is on the way out. Is that really going to happen though? Let's dive in and find out. Will SEO die in Web3? According to numerous experts, the answer is no. And here's why. If you look back at the humble beginnings of the internet in the 80s, you'd see a clunky UX, limited functionality, and a lot of potential. Fast forward to the present day, and we've used the power of the internet to accomplish more than anyone could have dreamed a few decades ago. To make that possible, though, we had to develop various technologies along the way, like search engines. Even though Web3 and SEO don't currently seem to be all that compatible, it could be that Web3 will use a new search engine with a different kind of algorithm. Alternatively, Google could adjust its strategy and keep going in a different form. Decentralized search engines of Web3. A lot of focus has been on Google's algorithm so far when we talk about SEO, which is understandable since it has huge influence on how rankings work and how businesses are able to market themselves. However, it would be short-sighted for us to focus exclusively on one search engine in Web2 to predict the future of SEO. Research is one example of a decentralized search engine that does its own indexing while also protecting user privacy. Another decentralized search engine that stands for free and unbiased information while protecting your own data is Timpi. That's Timpi. We'll put the links to both of these in the show notes. Presearch actually is coming on the podcast. We have the founder of Presearch coming on the podcast in about a month, where we'll be even further diving into this topic of SEO and Web3. Both offer very interesting ways to get involved and earn tokens along the way. That's Presearch and Timpi. Even though Google is also focused on Web3, rumor has it that they have a whole department working on Web3. They might not be the biggest search engine in the future. I think there's a good chance that they're not. If they are, they're going to have to adjust in a way that is very difficult to adjust as technology shifts happen. Usually it's the largest companies that struggle to make those adjustments. The point is that the story is far from over. If it looks like Web3 and SEO are incompatible now, just give it time. It probably won't be that way forever. Google's algorithm might have to make some big adjustments, but that's just a matter of adapting to survive. The fact is that we need search engines. It's very true, we do. So it's highly unlikely that they'd simply disappear once Web3 becomes more mainstream. Think about it this way. When you began researching Web3 for yourself, what was the first thing you did? If you're like most people, you went to Google and you started typing, what is Web3? What is cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin? How do I buy Bitcoin? How do I use Bitcoin? Should I launch an NFT for my business? All these things. All right, let's find out what SEO specialists are saying. So we have 9 SEO experts, each giving their opinion here. And it's very interesting. These opinions, there's definitely a diverse set of opinions here, which shows that nobody really knows what's going to happen. So what does that mean? When nobody knows, it means we got to participate. It means we got to get involved. It means we need to play in the sandbox, because that's the only way that you can stay ahead of the game. You can't go read a playbook because there is no playbook. So you got to be part of writing the playbook by being on the field, by playing the game and making sure that you're not behind. First SEO specialist is Amanda Thompson. She's a managing partner at Construct Digital. She says, for my business, my prediction is that the transition from Web 2 to Web 3 will be as fundamental in nature as the transition from services like the Yellow Pages to Web 2. Although the transition didn't happen overnight, the businesses that adopted early definitely had an advantage. Search and optimization will be a core component of discovery. It just might look different than it does today. For example, if you think back to the Yellow Pages era, this was a tool that consumers used to find businesses or services they were looking for. Categorization mattered, just like topical authority matters today. Don't forget, just like with search engines today, there were both organic and paid placement opportunities in the Yellow Pages. With the Yellow Pages, you could buy varying ad sizes and placements, while others opted for a more organic approach. Organic rankings were approached by savvy business owners with their name, AAA Locksmith, AAA Plumbers, etc. The algorithm in the Yellow Pages was the alphabet. So some businesses wisely took advantage of that. Will SEO die or become obsolete with Web3? Probably not. The platforms, the algorithms, and how the customers search might change. The requirement for the discovery of content businesses and the ranking of content/businesses will not go away. Inherent benefits exist to consumers in the Web3 world when it comes to search. There will be more mechanisms in place for determining legitimacy, authority, longevity, and originality, all things that Google currently tries to algorithmically determine. My hope is that there will be less ability to game the system as long as there is an algorithm or a ranking, people will try to optimize for it. Second expert, Nicolas Straut, the SEO lead at North One. Nicolas says, if Web3 is accepted as the new internet, or even achieves far larger mass adoption, I could see new applications being built which improve on existing Web2 functions like podcasting, search, and video, and still require search functionality. In this new ecosystem, SEO would still be relevant to optimize creators or sites so consumers could find information and content. As Web3 gains more adoption, SEO is still very relevant for creators and sites who want their information and content to be found. For example, crypto experts who use SEO best practices can increase their visibility in Google, YouTube, and podcast search for relevant keywords. It's very true. We advise our existing clients all the time that SEO is a key part of your strategy still, because that's where 90% of the world finds and searches for their content. At its heart, SEO is just optimizing content and data for the popular terms people are searching for, so it will likely have use far into the future. Just as crypto is routinely declared dead far too often, SEO has also been declared dead regularly despite its longevity and usefulness. Third expert we have here is James Angel, a co-founder of DYL. James says, I assume that a blockchain-based algorithm might include the precise weight of each SEO aspect to respond to a user's query rather than having a dark box of algorithms like Google has now. In order to meet the demands of that particular set of individuals, the community might vote on how their search engine should operate. Wouldn't that be amazing? This is the power of Web3, community, ownership, voting, proposals, governance, boom, things are happening. The primary distinction is that users of the search engine may choose how it operates, is managed, is monetized, and how updates are made, instead of trusting a company like we do right now that makes changes without warning and with zero accountability towards the impact of those changes. Additionally, they might choose to ignore links entirely as a signal or attempt to index only a portion of the internet. Other metrics based on the blockchain might be used in place of links as an authority, like having a specific NFT or token. Great, really great thoughts there, James. Everyone, it's such a diversity of opinion in all these thoughts, and really, again, just shows how we do not know what is going to happen. Next up, we have Sam Browne, the founder of Harrow SEO. Sam says, a precise answer is no, SEO will not die. Since search engines will continue to exist in Web3, As of the moment, there is no substitute for search engines, which implies that SEO will continue to dominate platforms. People will continue to use YouTube and Google in the metaverse. The technical aspects of your work will change, but the overall goal of SEO will remain the same, although with new tools and techniques. Learning keywords, syntax, search engines, and semantics will become increasingly important, especially in today's thriving of innovation. Search engines will continue to dominate such platforms because even Web3 will rely on search engines. Changes are inevitable, but SEO is and will still continue to evolve due to the current demands of marketing platforms. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence technology will enhance cluster content analysis. It will have an impact on SEO by applying powerful cluster content analysis to aggregate things. It will be possible to audit landing and other websites, other web pages more quickly. It's crucial to note that prior to Web3, Google was collecting important information about individual search histories. However, the next web version will extend this notion a step further, but still significantly improves SEO. Ultimately, because the World Wide Web aspires to serve as a receptionist, you will begin to notice increasingly tailored inquiries. Fascinating. Next up, expert Thomas Niemczewski, apologies if I'm saying that wrong, who is a web developer and SEO lead at Neighborhood Loans. Thomas says, the future of SEO is looking bright with the increasing adoption of Web3. Web3 is a new internet that uses blockchain technology to create an ecosystem that shares data and content in a peer-to-peer manner. With this new system, we can put our skill sets to use in a more efficient way by focusing on what we are best at, creativity and emotions. With the introduction of Web3, SEO will become more important than ever because there are now more ways to search for information on the internet. The future of SEO will be about finding content that is relevant to what people are searching for on the internet and connecting with them through social media or email marketing campaigns. As we are moving towards a decentralized internet, I think it is important to keep in mind that there will always be some sort of need for SEO services. Next up, we have Christian, who is the co-founder of Twiz. Christian says, future developments resulting from Web3 will undoubtedly have a positive impact on the web's search and social components. A game changer in the world of technology and digital marketing, Web3 is prepared to improve the SEO platform through the use of voice search. Voice search, big topic of what's coming up in the space of Web3, but really as a result of AI as well, and the result of just technologies having the ability to respond to voice search. That is the next phase of SEO, I should say not SEO. Next phase of search is us using voice search. Therefore, it is wise to use voice search technology because it can improve SEO and modify how searches are conducted strategically. The semantic web, which functions like that of the human body and brain, is a component of Web3. This web can be integrated with web technologies, enabling users to simply create links, produce material, and share it through analysis and search. This version focuses on acting as a bridge between various platforms and data formats. This web is crucial for expanding SEO platforms because it allows consumers to connect and share data online more effectively than ever before. Next up, we have Kenny Kline, co-founder of Barbend. Kenny says, SEO will not die. Expertly speaking, I feel that search engines will continue to be utilized in Web3. Everything now utilized on the internet will exist in Web3. This is because there is currently no alternative to search engines. People will continue to use YouTube and Google in the metaverse. Second time we've heard that from an expert, and I think it's true. I compare Web3 to voice search in that it will be a pleasant addition, but will initially have little impact on SEO. SEO will continue to be valuable on the market as long as people have a need to search and search engines exist to meet those demands. I believe that these possibilities are for the distant future. And while I don't see any reason for SEOs to panic about near-term changes, that doesn't mean that changes in the distant future won't have an impact on how search is facilitated on the web in the future, especially if we're talking about decades from now. One thing that I think that's important to acknowledge is we keep talking about SEO and its place in the internet. And if you think back to 20, 30 years ago, and somebody said the word the internet to you, nobody knew what that meant. Didn't mean anything to anybody really yet. And now it's ubiquitous. We are at that point in time with Web3. What is it going to be? What is the metaverse? What's it going to look like? How are we going to use it? How will it impact our lives? We don't yet know. So a lot of that, it's difficult to say how SEO will play a role in Web3 because we don't even necessarily know what Web3 is quite yet. But what I think is very true is the functionality of users need to search, they need to discover and find new things, and that will never disappear. The exact tools and tactics and techniques that is done might change, the platforms might change, but our needs to do that will never change, as is indicated by the fact that the yellow pages existed before the internet. There's always that need to find information in a helpful way. Okay, next expert, John Lincoln, CEO at Ignite Visibility. The future of SEO in the Web3 world will look much different than today. The big difference is there will be much more reliance on algorithms that categorize media, communities, people, resources, and have a better understanding of intent, as well as much stronger abilities to anticipate what the user will want. With the power of the algorithms being developed by Google, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and the experiences and multimedia being returned, the next evolution could be a bit scary. When it was just a search and blue links delivered, the user had much more control of the information, what they were exposed to. That will change. The TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Apple search engines will grow in popularity, while DuckDuckGo and Brave are a good response now to privacy issues. They won't last. These larger platforms will address the consumer's needs and cause these to go away. SEO will continue to be important on the social media search engines. Research and corresponding content creation will drive brand growth. On the Google side, we will see a greater focus on research by intent. Media and code need to deploy for the Google features. It's an interesting point brought up around, DuckDuckGo and Brave are browsers that have really grown in popularity, although compared to the giants, they're still relatively small. And the reason they grew in popularity is all because of privacy. They really took advantage of, we as a consumer have started to value privacy naturally because we have realized that our data is being sold and we are not necessarily having our data kept in a safe way. So naturally, other options start to come out. But here's the thing, are those options something that the big guys can start to offer as well? Possibly, and most likely they will address that, which makes it difficult for the new players to last in the long term. Although I will say I do hope that Brave makes it. I do enjoy their service and their model of rewarding users for giving their data. With Brave browser, you can receive tokens in exchange for looking at ads. That makes a ton of sense. Why should you not benefit when you're looking at ads because of your data? That's right now, Google, Facebook, Instagram, they're selling our data and forcing us to look at ads, and they're making all the profit, but you are the product. It's our eyeballs. And so Brave, I believe, has a strong case of a great new business model. Okay, next expert, we have Rylee Armond, founder of OmniCake and an NFT artist. Rylee says the internet changes over time from the beginning stages of Web 1 to the rise of Web 2, offered a completely different experience of the internet. It's true. In a similar vein, Web 3 is different from Web 2, and it is built with different experiences in mind. Web 3 offers the possibilities of creating token-gated softwares, where only Web 3 holders can access these specific applications of the internet. In the focus of SEO, they will never be found by any non-holder online, regardless of search engine. But this is only a small fraction of the overall Web3 movement, and many of the more visible parts of the space rely on social media and Web2 related industries. SEO has continued to innovate over time, and Web3 consumers will still need to access search engines to gain information about Web3 projects, i.e., does the project have a website, social media accounts? All of these relate to SEO strategies. I think this is a really interesting point is what happens with all of the content that is token gated? With Web3, we are building a token gated internet. We are using blockchain to token gate different access. Now, can you index that content, right? If you don't have access to it, a search engine can't index it, then it's not possible to search. Now, there's a good point here of the question, how much of the internet will be behind these token gated access points? Probably not that much. There's still a large part that is going to be aimed at reaching the masses. And also there's still going to be, everybody's going to know that if you made everything token gated, then nobody new could find out about your project. So there will be a focus on marketing and bringing in new consumers. But there is a really interesting point of what can we index in Web3? And again, we're not sure yet because we're still building it. And right now, everything in Web3 has a Web2 presence, right? There is no Web3 project. I mean, maybe there's some, but most Web3 projects that you hear about and know about, they have a website, they have social media, they're writing blogs, and they're using SEO to market themselves and to grow and to find new customers. So certainly SEO is still a big part. Okay, a couple more questions that were asked these experts, and for each of these questions, there's just one expert answer picked out. Will SEO survive in Web3? SEO will survive. The organic community building that is present in Web3 also feeds into SEO algorithms. If people are posting pictures of NFTs on Twitter, for example, that is both an SEO related event and a Web3 community member. The two are very integrated together. However, it is important to always be learning as frequently SEO is based on code, and that has the ability to change and be rewritten, as has often been seen in the social media industry. New formats, new tools on the app, most apps are constantly being developed, so no one SEO strategy will likely work forever. It's a great point about SEO. It's really something you have to constantly be learning and experimenting and trying new things, because the algorithm doesn't want anybody to game the system. Will there be other search engines to use in Web3? There have been other search engines to use, but thus far, none as popular as Google. I think certain Web3 companies definitely have the resources to build a search engine, but time will tell if more Web3 related search engines are released. Even if they are released, I think that competition within the search engine space is undoubtedly challenging. And in many current Web3 companies, brand awareness outside the crypto space is still very low. What do you think will happen? Open-ended question. I think that paid advertisement within the Web3 space will eventually happen, and SEO knowledge will be incredibly valuable for visibility. Worldwide, many people use Google every day, and understanding SEO for startups will help in many ways, whether it's in hopes of securing funding or more clients. Eventually, there will be more trusted experts within the space, and it is highly likely that SEO plays a major role in who becomes a widely known expert in the Web3 space as well. It's a great point to talk about paid advertising. What will that look like in Web3? That's, we're talking a different side of internet search, and, there's the paid side of internet search as opposed to the organic side. Who knows how that plays out in Web3? One thing I think for sure that we all hope is that if you are the one that is giving your data in order to be marketed to, then you should be making some of the ads dollars from that. Will SEO die in Web3? As long as the internet is still widely used, I think some form of SEO strategy will always continue. It may become more common knowledge, but I don't see SEO dying out completely. There you have it. SEO is not going to die in Web3, but a lot is going to change, and we don't even know where it's going to go. So don't forget, we're so early. If you're listening to this, first of all, thanks for listening to the whole show today. Second of all, don't forget how early we are. And when you are this early, All you need to do is play in the sandbox. All you need to do is show up over and over again. Write articles, share your opinion, get involved in DAOs, grab a project, try to work with somebody who's in Web3, find a co-founder. If you want to get involved, the best way to do it is to join a Web3 community. We would love to have you in the Web3 Academy community. There's many amazing people in there every day talking about everything related to Web3, everything related to marketing and to business models and to growth and to development and to products and UX and UI, all the facets of what it takes to build a successful company are all being discussed in Web3 Academy Discord. So check out the show notes, join our community if you're not already in there. And then you might want to take it to the next level and you might want to join our DAO. And the DAO is really aimed at creating a group of individuals who can build products and services for Web3 businesses coming out of the Web3 community. And maybe one of the things that we need to do is maybe we need to create an SEO guild where we can have a bunch of SEO experts. So if you are an SEO expert and you're listening to this and you're looking for your community in Web3, please join our Discord. There's already some SEO experts in there, but it would be awesome to build that out. And then what we can do is we can create a sub community within our community, or what we would call a guild. And that guild is a bunch of people who share the same talent, in this case, SEO. And we can start weekly meetings where we share resources and we talk about what's going on and we learn from each other. And that is really the best way to learn, is from your community and from those that are spending their time looking at the same things as you and sharing. So jump into the Discord. Would love to see you there. Thank you, Josien Nation. Shout out. Fantastic article. Appreciate all that you do as an SEO consultant for Web3 and for crypto and blockchain. If you are looking for some SEO help, check out Josien. The link will be in the show notes. You can follow her on Twitter. You can check out her website and reach out. I know she's eager to talk to anybody that wants to learn more about wants to learn more about SEO for their Web3 business. That's all. Get outside, smile, appreciate all that you have. We are so lucky. Somebody in our community the other day talked about how important it is that we spend more of our time and energy spreading love. And although it might sound cheesy, it could not be more important in today's world to take a moment to tell somebody that you love them, your family, your friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your kids, your pet. Share that love. Let them know how much you care about them, because that is what makes the planet healthier. Tell the planet you love it. Tell the ocean you love it. Tell the trees. It couldn't be more important. We are building an incredible future. We are building an incredible world, and we are spreading love all across it. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope to see you soon. Until next time, keep it real. Jay's out.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. By the way, if you have yet to join the Discord community, you are missing out. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we learn, where we ask questions, where we network. You want to be in there. The link to join is in the description below. And finally, a quick disclaimer. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.